Hello everyone, today I'm here with a life-turning and surprising event of my life that will definitely make you highly shocked and august. It still hurts to remember that my wife is actually... But before I get into the video, I want you people to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more nail-biting and suspensive real couple stories. That would be beneficial for others. Meet me, this is Harry Jackson, who is currently working as a software developer in Chicago. Let's backtrack to the year 2021 when I got married to a young and pretty girl named Jasmine. Jasmine was really beautiful and seductive. In spite of being beautiful, she used to be very concerned and possessive for her fitness as she wanted to maintain her glass-hour figure. Like every morning, she used to go for morning walks. She used to have morning yogas on a daily basis. According to her, being fit and beautiful is everything. I remember she never skipped the gym. Apart from physical fitness, she was fond of wearing anti-aging masks. She used to go to salon almost thrice a week. It is creepy, but she used to change her hair dye after every month. I never forbade her for wasting money like this because I wanted to see her happy. I often saw cucumber placed on her eyes. It was a funny sight for me in the beginning, but later her excessive love and possession for her fitness and skin was becoming irritating and annoying for me. I remember whenever I used to ask her to go with me for fast food like pizza and Zinger, she never took a single bite even. I told her so many times that her weight doesn't matter for me, but she never listened to me. She just loved to have a bowl full of salad. Once there was a dinner party at my office. I was really tired that day and I did not want to join the party. I told my wife about tonight's party and also told her that we will not go as I am tired. Even our joining was not compulsory in that night. She really insisted me and forced me to go as I agreed with her. She was extremely engaged in wearing masks and looking for the best dress. When we were about to go for the party, I was amazed to see her as she was literally looking fabulous. When we reached the party, everyone was looking at my wife. Even my boss praised her. Finally, it was a dinner time. Everyone was eating with their wife. I really insisted my wife to eat with me, but she did not listen. I even requested her to take a single bite, but she refused. I got highly disappointed that day with my wife's behavior. Even my co-worker just was judging her relationship, that how someone's wife could be so stubborn, as she was not even ready to take a single bite from her husband. On reaching towards the home, my wife was continuously sugar-coating herself as she was center of attention in the party. The next morning when I woke up, I found my wife nowhere in the bedroom. I went outside of the room to see my wife. Meanwhile, I heard some weeping sounds coming from the kitchen. When I stopped to the kitchen, I was shocked to see my wife weeping with someone on call. When she saw me, she declined the call and hugged me. When I asked her, "Honey, what happened?" she replied that her father had divorced her mom and now her mom is all alone. I patted on my wife's shoulder and asked her to bring her mom at our house. She liked my idea and asked me to come home early as we were going to take her mom by tonight to our home. Although I was having a lot of work that time in the office, but I left office early to take my wife's mom with my wife. When we both went to her mother, I was shocked to see my wife like she was wearing a miniskirt like teenagers do wear. She was wearing a lot of makeup and was holding a youngster bag holding her hand. I remember when she was sitting with us in the car, she was continuously asking me to play pop songs. She seemed to be so full of life and charming. When we reached home, I asked my wife that her mother seemed so young. I further passed a joke to her that your mother seemed so young just as she is your sister. I further said that your mom is really young enough that she would get anyone easily even now. Although I was kidding her, but she took my suggestion so serious that she decided to make an account on a dating site. What she was doing was beyond my understanding. The next day when I was working in office, my wife called me and asked me to reach home as early as possible. I was really anxious. I did not know what happened in the house. I hurriedly moved towards the house and saw my wife and her mom standing along with the gate as if they both were waiting. I asked my wife what happened. "Is everything all right?" "Why do you call me so urgently?" She replied, "Honey, calm down. Actually, I have called you so I want you to take latest pictures of my mother as we have to post them on her dating account." I was literally wondering my wife unheard this act. Well, we all went to a park which was having a colorful background for their pictures. I remember my wife and her mother were dressed up well. They both were looking gorgeous. I took their pictures. I took my wife and her pictures in a frame together as well. After the photo shoot, we went to the cafe where my wife and her mother were continuously engaged in the mobile and updating the dating account. I observed that my wife used to be engaged with her mother most of the time. Her mother was just like her daughter because she was also very possessive for her fitness and her skin care. Literally, after arrival of my wife's mother, my wife really forgot her duties. She even did not cook the meal sometimes and occupied with her mother on the phone. I was really annoyed by her activities. Once I was working in my laptop, meanwhile my mom called me and gave the bad news that she is having serious cancer. After hearing this, I got highly upset and decided to take her with me. My mother was actually used to live with my aunt as she was not happy with my wife. The very next morning, I went to my aunt's home in order to take my mother. She was not ready to go with me, but I insisted her a lot as I wanted to take care of her and make her proper treatment. On seeing my mother at our house, I noticed that my wife's mother was not happy. Even my wife asked me to appoint a maid for my mother. My wife's panic behavior towards my mother was really heartbreaking, to be honest. It's a duty of a good wife to respect his husband's mother, but my wife never did this. Even she used to yell at me when I spent money on my mother. The next day, when I was in my office and was continuously thinking about what happened last night, meanwhile my mom called me and asked me to come home early. As soon as I got messages from my mom, I stood up from my office, took my laptop with me, and went to the home. On reaching home, I wondered to see my wife and her mother not present on the house. I asked my mother about them. My mother was gazing at me like if she wanted to reveal something. When I asked her multiple times what happened, she said, "Son, I had already told you that your wife is not a good woman." I was literally looking at her with all amazement and said, "Please tell me what happened." My mom told me that my wife is dating with other men and her mother is also supporting her. After listening to her, I was totally shocked for once. I thought she might be doing this all as she did not like my wife and her mother. I called my wife at the moment. She was not picking my call. I then called her mother. She received my call and said that they were occupied in the grocery store. When I asked her the grocery store location, as I wanted to pick them by myself, she did not respond and said that she will be managed. When my wife and her mother reached at the house, they were having nothing in their hands except a single juice bottle and a chips packet. After seeing them, it was crystal clear that they were not in the grocery store. They must be speaking live with me. My mom's concern was continuously popping up in my mind. My wife's activities were getting strange day by day. She became more irresponsible than before. Our physical relationship was getting bad as she used to be tired and full most of the time. I started noticing her having expensive gifts. Whenever I asked her from where she got them all, she always used to reply that one of her rich friends sent this all. Everything going on was really stimulating. Next week, when I was on a business trip with my co-workers on the seaside and we all were begin to boarding, meanwhile, I caught a sight on my wife's mother sitting with an old man who seemed really rich and influential. When I further noticed, I saw my wife sitting on the left side of that old man. I was literally shocked to see my wife like this. I wanted to ask my wife about this all, but then I decided to go to the depth of the matter. I started chasing the matter and discussed the situation with one of my friends. He suggested me to make a fake account on the same dating site which was used by my wife's mother. I secretly made the account, uploaded some fake pictures with luxurious cars and places in order to impress them and give it a real look. I even updated some random fake information in that dating website. Finally, I decided to send a message to my wife's mother. It literally took me 1 hour to find out her ID. When I got her ID, I sent her a "Hi baby" text, but she did not reply me. It seemed like she was chatting with another person that time. However, after about 2 hours, she replied me and said that her daughter is up for dating. I was literally shocked and my hands were shivering. That time, even I was not able to type properly. I realized soon that my wife's mother actually presented her daughter for money to the sugar daddy and also took herself too. I decided to leave the chatting as I was so angry and highly furious that time. If I had not left the mobile at that moment, then would surely take an emotional decision that was indeed a wrong thing. I remember my wife was sleeping next to me. I was continuously staring at her and was thinking about this all. Even that time, I was not sure whether my wife did this or not. The next morning, my mood was all ruined and I was highly upset as truth is going to be exposed soon. As usual, my wife was taking yoga and her mother was ironing her dress like as she is going somewhere. I took some courage and sent message to the same dating website to my wife's mother. "Hi, I had sent message yesterday last night there in order to date you, but why you want me to date your daughter?" She replied, "Sweetheart, she's definitely very young and pretty more than me." She then began to send my wife's hot pictures and asked, "Isn't she?" I asked her would she charge me for date. She said obviously. I was literally shocked after hearing this. She further asked me to transfer some advance payment. After that, she said my daughter's husband is such a cunning man. He's rude and abusive towards my daughter for no reason. She further said that my daughter's husband is not fulfilling my daughter's need. I got highly disappointed after listening this all about me. I aimed to catch them red-handed and fixed a meeting with them by tonight. I just now wanted to see my wife's experience. I remember I did not go to my office that day to see my wife's expressions. My wife was continuously manipulating me and forcing me to go to my office. After a lot of her efforts, when she failed to send me to the office, she began to get ready herself for the date night. I remember she was wearing some honey mask on her face as her mother was continuously praising her like honey on honey or something kinda like that. My wife was choosing a dress for her. When I asked her, "Are you going somewhere?" she replied that one of her friends invited her on her birthday party. My wife's lies were continuously making me upset. I agree, it is indeed difficult for anyone to remain quiet in this kind of situation, but I remained steadfast and did not even give them a single clue. My wife was continuously straightening her hair. Even my wife's mother was also wearing a revealing dress. I was noticing their activities. Meanwhile, I received a message from my wife's mother who was demanding me the advance payment of date. I asked one of my friends who transferred some amount to their account. When my wife's mother received the account, she seemed highly excited. I noticed my wife and her mother whispering. They both wear a lot of makeup and perfumed. When I asked her, "Should I drop you?" they began to sweat and denied. As soon as my wife left the house, I hurriedly moved to the same spot. I even took my wife's father with me to make her more embarrassed. When I reached the restaurant with her father, I caught a sight on my wife and her mother who were desperately waiting for the person they intended to date. They even called me several times on the same dating site. I entered the restaurant with my wife's father. They both got highly shocked after seeing us there. They began to give me explanation. Even I had not asked from them, I simply showed them these screenshots and said, "Shame on you both." My wife's father addressed with my wife's mother and said that I had already divorced this woman as I was already aware of her activities. Her father said that this slut woman also made my daughter a slut. Even I came to know from my wife's father that my wife used to have sugar daddies since a teenage. That's why her father kicked her daughter out of the house. I divorced my wife at the spot as there was no purpose of living together. Even she was begging me not to go, but she was actually never mine. What would you do if you got the same situation?